Speedrunning isn't what Minecraft was designed for, so most new features do little to affect it. However, every once in a while you get an update that revolutionizes the way Minecraft speedrunners play. 1.14's revamped villager trading system let players completely bypass the step of killing Endermen. 1.16's piglin bartering and bastions allowed players to beat the game in less time than we ever thought possible. After the huge new announcement on Minecraft Live, featuring everything from deep dark cities to the Alley, there's reason to believe 1.19 could be the next big speedrunning update. As of right now, 1.16.1 is the fastest any percent RSG category in Minecraft. That's because in 1.16.2, piglin trades were nerfed, giving players a much lower chance of acquiring the amount of ender pearls they need to locate the stronghold and fill the portal. The lower drop rates were kept in 1.17 and will presumably stay for the foreseeable future. So, in order to be a viable speedrun category, the advantages of 1.19 will have to outweigh the disadvantages of lower pearl drop rates. The most likely way for this to happen would be if 1.19 gave players some other way to acquire ender pearls. And there's one thing about the update in particular that hints that a new way to get pearls could be coming.
In Minecraft Live, we were able to get a closer look at some of the new skulk blocks being added in the deep dark caves. They're really cool, being able to detect vibrations, collect XP, and even spread whenever a mob dies nearby, but something a little less obvious that's really interesting is the color scheme. All the skulk blocks have this sort of dark, starry night pattern on them, and the skulk catalysts in particular also have this whitish yellowish texture. There's only one other place in the game where you can find something remotely similar to this color scheme, and that's the end portal. This is all speculation at this point, of course, but if the skulks really do have something to do with the end, it'd make sense for the Deep Dark to have pearls as loot. We know that the cities are going to have enough loot to make them worth visiting, some of it new and exclusive, and some of it not. And we also know that Mojang is trying to start putting more lore and subtle connections between locations into the game. It just seems to make sense.
If there are ender pearls in the Deep Dark, any speedrunner who dares to get them is going to have to deal with the Warden. Unfortunately for runners, it doesn't seem like it'll be an easy task. First off, the Warden will spawn when the Skulk Shrieker activates, which is in turn triggered by the player making noise. The only way to keep the Warden away will be to sneak around and be very careful with your movement, which isn't really an option for speedrunners because of the huge time loss that would cause. So we've established that the Warden is definitely going to spawn. Now, what's really cool about the Warden as a general fan of the game, and really annoying about the Warden from a speedrunning perspective, is that once it spawns, it's intended to be avoided and not fought. The devs have made it a point to ensure that there won't be an easy exploit to safely kill it. It certainly isn't going to be an Iron Golem scenario where you can just pillar up 3 blocks and hack it to death. I'm sure at some point, given how many people play this game, someone's going to figure out how to damage the Warden from a safe distance. But even when that happens, the Warden is going to have over 500 health points. That's 250 hearts. It's just not going to be efficient to kill, in a category where every second counts. I'd say the best chance runners have of avoiding the Warden and getting out of the Deep Dark alive with the loot is to distract it with projectiles. There might be snowballs in Deep Dark City chests, so runners could do this without losing time gathering them.
Even if there are pearls in the Deep Dark, trading with piglins in the Nether might still be faster. At first it seems like an inconvenience to have to go to the Nether, but you have to get blaze rods anyway, and the major advantage of using the Nether is that it allows you to travel much more quickly. Since 1 block in the Nether is 8 blocks in the overworld, you can get out to a reasonable stronghold distance, build a portal, and find the stronghold from there. Pretty much any world record these days is going to require Nether travel. At the end of the day, there's just no way to know for sure if 1.19 will affect the way we get ender pearls. But after all, you need both blaze powder and pearls to craft Eyes of Ender, so naturally the next question is if there's any chance a new way to get blaze rods will be added. Well, the short answer is probably not. Minecraft is very much a sandbox game without a ton of set structure, but if there's one thing that Mojang wants to preserve, it's the basic survival progression. The idea that players should have to travel to the Nether before traveling to the end. Blaze rods being added as loot in, say, Deep Dark Cities would be awesome for speedrunners, but it would also allow players to bypass the Nether completely. This was actually something a lot of players did back when villagers would trade Eyes of Ender directly, but this feature was removed a few years ago because skipping the Nether is something Mojang really does not want. For the foreseeable future, including in 1.19, Nether fortresses will remain the only place to acquire blaze rods.
Let's go back up to the surface, where the entire swamp biome is getting a complete revamp. Frogs, fireflies, and mangrove trees are being added, and the terrain itself is getting a massive overhaul. Based on the concept art that's been revealed, it's going to be a difficult change for speedrunners. Swamps already weren't a particularly desirable biome for speedrunners due to the lack of useful resources and structures, but now the flooded terrain and thick mangrove roots everywhere are going to make them a nightmare to navigate. The new swamps will be great for immersing you in the game, that's for sure, but they'll make it impossible to see where you're going and pretty tough to move around at all. The good news is that there hasn't been any news about swamps becoming more common in 1.19. New mangrove swamps will probably generate where an old swamp would have been rather than just adding more around the world. Interestingly, swamps were actually one of the losing biomes in the Minecraft Live biome vote several years ago. Mojang finally followed through on their promise to add losing biomes to the game, so it'll be interesting to see how the other losing biomes affect speedrunning in the coming years. Probably the most publicized part of the Wild update was the mob vote. With 3 mobs to choose from, over 1 million players cast ballots, and the winner was eventually determined to be the Allay, a little blue flying mob that gathers dropped items. It's a cool mob in and of itself, and should be pretty helpful for making farms, but despite its striking resemblance to Minecraft speedrunner The Buggy 9000, it doesn't give any real benefit or harm to speedrunners.
By now we've covered pretty much all the major 1.19 features we've seen that could have an impact on speedrunning. But the key phrase there is that they're the only ones we've seen. Oftentimes, the features that are going to impact speedrunning the most are the small ones added later in development. Potentially the most significant change to the game in Minecraft speedrunning history, Ender Pearls being added to the Piglin bartering table, was unceremoniously revealed in a snapshot not too long before the Nether update's release. Something like, say, shipwrecks being made slightly more common might not be the kind of thing that gets announced on Minecraft Live, but it is the kind of thing that could lead to a new world record. In other words, we're just gonna have to wait and see. Let's hope 1.19 is the most exciting Minecraft speedrun category yet. Thanks for watching.